Swing and a ball driven out to center. That one carrying, and it's off the wall. Jordan scores. Well done, drives in the run. So two in scoring position with one out. Nathan Church next up for the Cardinals. That's smacked down the line to center. And it's two down.
Of the old guard and the new, and that's exactly what this matchup is here today. Adam Makadne of Jordan, the first ever Jordanian referee at the FIFA World Cup, as his country's team prepares to make their World Cup debut in the coming days as well. Terrific crowd here in the dome, in the closed roof in this beautiful stadium in Atlanta, and day 5 of this FIFA World Cup is underway. In red, Cape Verde, the Blue Sharks are changing into the all-white for the maximum color contrast here today. First ever meeting between these nations, and in fully soccer terms, these are teams from two different planets. Spain are the European champions. They've not been beaten in any game for over 2 years. Make no mistake, they are here to win this World Cup. Cape Verde on the other side, the victory for them is just being here. It's their first ever World Cup. It's the third smallest nation ever qualified for this tournament. And it's not in any way to be disrespectful of the journey that they've taken, the accomplishment to get here, the quality of their players, and how hard they're going to work. But it's objectively true. This would be one of the biggest upsets in the history of the World Cup. If Cape Verde were to win, and to be honest, even if they were to get the title. And so the question is, what does this look like today? Is this maintenance advance for the
Yes. And one of the hard things when scouting and watching tape on Cape Verde was a lot of the times what they're seeing in African qualifying, African Cup of Nations is nothing like what they're going to experience and see today with a team of Spain's quality. And so a lot of times I see them with the ball playing in an attacking formation, 4-2-3-1. Today it's going to be 11 men behind the ball, defend what you can in transition. They're not going to have a lot of the ball. But one of the things I've been saying about it, not many teams do against Spain. So Spain see this a lot. They have teams prepared. They know how to create chances. Can they be efficient? Can they score early? And potentially run the score up in the second half. How does this game get interesting?
Luis de la Fuente, just a remarkable career that he's had. He won everything as a Spain youth national team coach. And he really has won just about everything as Spain's senior team head coach. One of the big things that de la Fuente has done all along, and he doubled down yesterday, is he said, look at the club teams that these players are on. Not club players when they're out here, they're national team players. There is a lot more parity and competitive balance at the international level than there sometimes is in the club game. He has throughout been complimentary of the opponents and has been attempting to drive the message home to his players. They can't just show up with their resumes and their famous names and expect to have the success that everyone expects them to have. Torrente now. Ferran Torres, who's playing the role of Lamine Yamal in this game. Although he was starting in the last World Cup, he's won a call. I'm very frustrated about that. Rojas there. One of their long-time players making a World Cup debut. Rubista, 5 years old, became an independent nation. Former captain of this national team. Reigning African Coach of the Year. And he'll be pleased, even though his face didn't show it, that VAR assist has corrected that decision. It will, in fact, be a goal kick for Cape Verde. And as much as you have half of this lineup for Cape Verde who were born abroad, you've got a number of players who were born in Cape Verde, even as they've gone abroad to begin their careers. But Misty is someone who has lived Cape Verdean soccer his entire life. And so it's a terrific accomplishment for him to have guided his team to this spot and to be on the sideline in a World Cup match.
And one of the things early, and I remember Thierry Henry talking about this a lot during that opening match of the World Cup, Mexico-South Africa. Around the first 15 minutes of a game, don't give the game away, don't try to play out of the back or play yourself into trouble. So they like to play out of that typically, but what I'm saying is they're being very direct on top of the ball at the field when it gets back to the goalkeeper Vazquez. So that's a smart way to not go behind the goal early. You do concede possession, but you're probably going to concede possession anyways. But if you can try to shift up your lines in little moments and not just sit right on top of your box, that becomes important in the early stages of a game like this.
Mark Laporte looking for a long switch. We've seen a few of those for the center backs already. Torres knocks it down. Jamiro Montero, former MLF player to San Jose and Philadelphia, able to recover it. And this Cape Verde on the ball. There's a couple of pockets of Cape Verde fans here in Atlanta. They're going to go crazy anytime they get possession. This one peters out pretty quick. Rodri for Pedri. You really can't see just how gummed up it is in the middle of the field as Spain try to make their way forward. That was under him there by Fabian Ruiz. Pressure there by Ferran Torres to knock it out for a Cape Verde throw.
The challenge of playing a defense that sits so deep like that, but there's not a lot of space. And when Spain get the ball wide, it's 3 or 4 Cape Verde defenders around them surrounding. It really is how quickly can you move the ball? Can you be sharp in your movements, your triangles, your ones that will maybe stretch the back line, opening up space for teammates. All stuff that the Spanish team knows very well. I expect as the game goes on a little bit, some of that space to open up. But in the early stages, you got a Cape Verde team that's full of energy, of life, of expectation, of stepping on the World Cup stage for the very first time.
Those moments right there, that was interesting because Johan Cabral had an opportunity to switch the field in open space and it went too slow. That was another one there where it was just not fast enough from Dina Borges. It's the speed of the game that really stands out when you play an opponent of this level. there on the ball. Former MLS Defender of the Year with the Columbus Crew. Stayed in play on the far side. Cape Verde with the throw. Lueders there. We saw a moment ago their all-time leading scorer. That's Pico Lopez, who's got a fascinating story to get here. A lot of these players have lived quite a life and quite a journey to get to this moment here at the World Cup. Lueders, their goalkeeper, 40 years of age.
And so this is actually quite interesting because there are these things in a high-press team. Sometimes you're actually okay with a team that's sitting deep to have the ball because the hope is that you can win it here and quickly transition the other way, and it opens up space in behind them. So seeing Luis de la Fuente's team actually backing off a little bit when Rosinia had that ball, I think that's a little bit of what they're saying. Hey, we'll invite you guys forward.
Kind of a mix in the Spanish team of guys who were at the last World Cup and a few who were not. Lueders trying to sneak in behind. Pico Lopez is there and clear. Just enough there for Rodri to clean that up.
It was a disappointing World Cup for Spain. They opened with a blockbuster 7-0 win against Costa Rica. Then they draw with Germany, lose to Japan, and then lost to Morocco after a 0-0 tie on penalties. So that was prompted the switch to De La Fuente. As you said, they've won just about everything. They've done more vertical, direct, still with the possession base, stuff like this. But it's been a team that has just been on a tear.
Torres put that behind the target in there. Pedri, and now can they spring something along with that? Livramento, he was 1v2 in that moment. He's actually down right now. Pulling his leg back to his feet. But to your point, this idea of Spain being one of the favorites at this World Cup, that's really happened in the last 3 years.
Yeah. The Nations League, the way they won the Euro, and a lot of these players are a big part of that. And
let's say there, Phillips is back again. And I was going to say, I was curious if the referee would show a yellow card there. He didn't call a foul. The referee, huge moment for him. First ever World Cup game. Again, first ever Jordanian referee. He's representing his country in a big moment. Ferran Torres, Llorente from the byline. Strong challenge that was. This time Cabral tracking back, and that will indeed be Spain's first quarter of the game. Taking his time to come over and take it. Near post and center right in the middle of the field there by Ryan Mendez, but it might work for Patrick Jamiro Montero. That's too far for Ryan Mendez. He knew right when that ball was played. You saw him give up the chase in frustration. Just about 10 minutes gone here in Atlanta. A warm day outside, lovely inside. This incredibly beautiful stadium that will be hosting 8 games in total, including a semifinals. Good runner off the ball by Ferran Torres and close to Llorente instead. Petrie trying to turn to the byline, gets a cross in, goes in, lost in space there. Pico Lopez saved to do it. His header fell horizontal. Now it's hooked immediately back in. Vizini that time. Good solid hands to take it.
That was a great ball in and a great run from Petrie. These are the types of runs I was saying could open up this back line. You force, at the minimum, Cape Verde to drop a little bit. Petrie just hits that one first time towards the back post, but it was a great header in the back. But Pico Lopez making sure he got there first and just glanced that header away from goal. It was the first real attacking moment here from Spain.
Pico Lopez, given name Roberto, his dad from Cape Verde, left as a teenager just for economic opportunities, settled in the Republic of Ireland, married a woman from Ireland, had a son. He's Irish through and through, and as the story goes, in 2018 he got a message on LinkedIn from the Cape Verde coach at the time, which he dutifully ignored, thinking it was either spam or just some sort of automatic welcome. And when the coach followed up 9 months later, this time in English, "Hey, did you consider my offer to come play for Cape Verde?" So began a journey that has led him now to this opportunity at the World Cup, just shy of his 34th birthday. Here's Roberto Pico Lopez on the ball again. A little sequence there. Once again, Pico Lopez with Roberto in chase, and a little bit of a tangle there from the ball. Simone was going to get to that one.
He's a fascinating player as well, Livramento. He's not going to get a lot of the ball tonight. He's going to have to do a lot of running like this. Has really struggled at club level. It kind of matches with what you were talking about with Luis De La Fuente's comments. Hasn't scored 22 months at the club level, but yet when he's played for Cape Verde, he's scored 5 of his last 10 games. He will be salivating for one opportunity in this game.
It is an underrated concept. It's something I feel strongly about, but we perhaps make too much of it. Well, because you do this for your club and play at this club, it's not a one-to-one linear switch over to your national team. The dynamics are different, the roles are different, the team concepts are different. Oh, it makes it so much fun. Doesn't mean that Spain won't win this comfortably, but also doesn't mean it's going to be easy for them necessarily.
Some runs inbound. They're just not playing the ball that big. Quite as aggressive enough for taking those chances. Quick away and made a great run from that left-hand side behind the back line, but he was looked away. The same with Fernand Torres earlier. So Spain right now just opting for ball circulation. Easy for me to say.
It's going to be a handball there. It's from a long spell of possession. Enriching Cape Verde, third smallest nation by population. Ever play in the World Cup. Of course, Iceland, the only smaller. Yeah, you look at that number and you go, gosh, that's 10 times as big. It's probably also true that it's not just those 500,000 people that Cape Verde draw from. They've done a wonderful job, as have a number of nations, at finding in their diaspora. As long as you get a grandparent who's from a given country, and you can get a passport, you're eligible to play for that country. And a lot of these players, including Steven Moreira, have said this is an opportunity for them to give back to their parents and their grandparents who took that risk to find a better life somewhere else, maintain links to culture. Let's give away. It's Petrie, the traffic right goes in, and he makes his first save of the game. That could have been a lot worse than Cape Verde.
A lot of teammates, including Mercury, makes a great run off the ball here, asking for that pass back, because it was the first time really that Cape Verde blocks separated, because they all started to move up because they won the ball back, and then it turned over very quickly, something they came up to. Here comes the Spanish press now.
They run the ball back there to the field again. Pico Lopez intercepts the back heel. Also means there's space the other way. Sidney Lopez Cabral now. And then he miscontrols that, shoves Llorente to the ground. And that will be a yellow card, and that was maybe revenge for the earlier collision between those two.
He just extended an arm and catches Llorente in the side of the face. As Llorente played a little 1-2, looking for the first ball and then to get the return. Now Cabral was out of position. He did not want that space to be taken advantage of, so pretty clear foul.
But now you've got 75 minutes and you're going to be defending one-on-one a lot in a yellow card situation. That's the last thing you can afford if you're Cape Verde is get a guy sent off.
Well, that is what happened in South Africa. They had that deny of a goal scoring opportunity after Mexico had already scored, and then Mexico had the man advantage and lose another player. There's just no way back after that. So keeping 11 players on the field is paramount for this Cape Verde team to have any hope in this match.
Good work there by Torres. Back in for Llorente. Knocked down by Lopez Cabral and cleared away by Dina Borges.
Great run though from Llorente, who we see get forward so often for Atletico Madrid. That's the type of movement and running that even if he doesn't get the ball, he'll open up this defense and cause people to come out of positions that will open up holes for their teammates. But that type of where you give the ball and then just continue running, maybe you get it back, maybe you don't, is going to be huge for them.
The Ward center back was able to walk it up to 35 yards from Cape Verde's goal. His teenage teammate at the back, Kubarsi. 13-year age difference between those two. The spring set of these sequences. And already, Macabne is trying to keep Cape Verde from taking too long in these throw-ins. And Luis Delafante trying to keep his cool.
You can hear the count. It's a pretty generous count, actually. That's the count when I'm trying to get my kids to do something and threatening punishment.
That's always interesting. Your tone changes.
That's a matter of referees tonight, the longer this game goes on.
Just walking it forward until he can draw someone out and create some space elsewhere. Quick away. Tear the pressure. Let Durant keep it moving. Here's the teenager, Kubarsi from Barcelona.
Now look at the line in Spain have across 6 players basically up against that back line. There's no space in the middle. And they're just bringing the ball up. They're doing a good job. You have to give them credit of keeping that ball nice and tight. Nobody's stepping out or getting beat or making a mistake. They seem really together in these early stages, but that line is very compact, not allowing one player for Spain to get turned in a dangerous area to get running into the fence. That's good.
Torres right back in the middle. It's all too far for him. Headed away by Morera. Swing and a miss from Fabi Ruiz, but he's able to control. That's a good array. Rodri. We will see. And why not? Because they can deflect anywhere. That time it's off the teammate out for a goal kick.
But that type of run, though, from Fernando Torres, where he makes a diagonal run inside, and they can hit the switch of play there, is a good way for a different look, especially to try to break down this defense. Kubarsi, I think, just a bit frustrated of, hey, why not? And to your point, maybe there's a deflection, maybe he hits an absolute wonder strike. He's very capable, super talented young player. And I just feel like every tournament that we cover for Spain, every time we see them, there's another young player making a debut. Not that long ago that Gavi and Pedri were making their debuts and checking their ages coming in. Gavi's still only 21, Pedri's 23, Lamine Yamal is still 18 years old.
And to your point that Luis Delafante left not lower off at that point. Consistent starting saw back over the year. Dean Housen with that meteoric rise over the last year plus on this team. The depth that Spain has is sort of outrageous. And the fact that we don't expect to see Lamine Yamal or Nico Williams today, but they still have such high quality players. Really remarkable. Team Zubimendi, no place for him in this team. Ferran Torres hooks across in and pings around there off the head of Dina Borges. Germán Cabral needs some help. Because Cabral able to knock it out and get it thrown out.
I think it's an important context to have as we go through this game. Whether Spain wins 7-0, they win 1-0, They draw. It really is so much about. It's going to go back to
Exactly as they drew it.
Spain are thinking of this tournament as an 8-game tournament. They always go into it with the expectations of getting to a final or winning a final. So for them, can they build into the game? Can they get some players different minutes? Can they rest certain players? Do they need to use Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams? Are they actually available in this game? But they want to start this tournament, make no mistake about it, with a win and a convincing win at that. Here comes Cape Verde.
Good ball. Duarte defending. Duarte into the middle. He's stopped away there. And then Ruiz got his head to it. You see they're just in front of Real Mendes, and there was an offside flag somewhere in that sequence that has come up now in the threat. But you can hear in the crowd when Cape Verde came forward. Before we take our first half hydration break. And it's an easy joke, but again, every game, every stadium, regardless of circumstance, just to make it even and not even have it be a conversation, we'll take these breaks. And it is warm in here. It is a bit stuffy and muggy in here. You're seeing some of the players' perspirations. That one peters out with Pedri for a goal kick. And that, indeed, will be our first half hydration break. It is powered by Powerade. It comes with the European champions and one of the 4 debutante nations at this World Cup. Scoreless here in Atlanta at the beginning of Day 5 of this North American FIFA World Cup.
Duarte and Pedri as well. I think, let's see if right now he's actually taking a higher position alongside Orizabal. And I think he's a guy that, look, he can get on the half turn, he can play passes, he can combine, he can unlock this defense. And they can find him in those little spaces in behind the midfield and in front of the defense. And those spaces right now are very small. So getting him on the move consistently, but also taking some risks. I think Spain need to take a little bit more risk with the ball. Even if it results in a second ball or a knockdown, it might lead to an opportunity.
Spain, the European champion, one of the favorites to win this World Cup. Cape Verde on their World Cup debut, third smallest nation ever to qualify. And to pull off the impossible, the improbable, the incredible. Long switch. And it brings it down. Their all-time leader in games played and goals scored, Steven Moreira of the Columbus Crew. He's going to get back to that touch and block by Cooper Ray. Defender of the year. Dancing around the box there.
Yeah, Mark Golden dancing. A little sombrero action on the top of the court there. And then a good block by Cooper Ray to get in front. But some more play in the attacking half here from Cape Verde.
Aaron Mendes again. Moreira's going to get across the way. Jamal Cabral could way down over his shoulder. Ferran Torres now. Misty was taken out of that crossfield ball there on the defender's foot. Cabral couldn't lay that down and stride the Duarte. That was Livramento, in fact. See any of these tweaks that Spain have made in the hydration break as they're really on the ball for the first time since. Good stick there. Duarte take it away. Giving Cabral, as you said, that space disappears very quickly. Now Cape Verde under some pressure. Rosinha.
And the ball is under some pressure there, just miscontrolled by Javier Montero.
Rosinha, who has been the goalkeeper for Cape Verde for 14 years. At the age of 40, is playing in the World Cup. Cooper Ray back to it, cuts it back inside. Here's the chance for Spain to block people. Lopez got it, finding it away. That was Gavi there who had the look. There's Gavi again. Rodri. Forced inside to Pedri. Back out to Cucurella. Who's blocked back to Cucurella. In this box.
Cucurella seeming to get into the attack so often. Very capable player, looking for that first touch ball to try and find Gavi. Comes onto his non-dominant foot with his right foot and just tries to get a hold of that volley. Ball's dipping. Look at the referee cam, his view on this play and just popped up. It's a very instinctive play, just technique and ball rising. And to even give you a little bit of context on just Spain's one of their goal threats and their starting striker, who's not always a traditional striker on the Sabal, who plays high and has a drift. How many touches do you think he's got in the game? Zero touches so far. And now strikers don't always get involved in the build-up like this with Spain, where sometimes they stay higher and are just wanting to arrive in the box. But still, that's a player you want to get involved. Maybe he can drop underneath a little deeper to open up some space in behind.
Here's Alba, by the way, is tied for Spain's all-time record. 6 straight games with a goal. He already has a record of consecutive games with a goal or an assist, stretching back more than a year. As again, that time Kevin Keenan got put on that ball in to kind of redirect it. And Rosinia to come get it. Coming up, more World Cup action from Group G here on Fox League. Belgium against the Blue Boy. No Salah and Egypt. That is the first game we'll be seeing in Seattle, where the U.S. will be playing Friday against Australia. That follows this match right here on Fox. Another game in this group, Group H, is later on tonight. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay. We did, in fact, arrive later than planned last night in South Florida. That game in Miami. There's some issues with their flight. Lopez behind the options, and now Spain a quick transition into the middle for Ferran Torres. Always up and has the chance. First time dragged it wide. It's leads away. And then Diego Rose is able to knock it off of where he's out for a Cape Verde throw. City Lopez Cabral was the first defender there.
Indeed, he did a great job recovering down here as that touch, as you said, Osama takes the ball wide. Trying to take it across his body and strike it with the right foot. And his first touch of the entire game, as we sit here in the 31st minute. But therein lies the danger for Cape Verde when they are playing across the back line and they take those risks and they turn the ball over. That opened up the space for that really quick transition that Spain just did not take advantage of.
Cabral intercepting that one from Rodri. Weave his way around. There. And Mendes, Herrera, couldn't connect it there with Lars Duarte. It's one of the things Bovista, the Cape Verde manager, talked about. If we want to have an organized team, we want to be strong mentally, but we don't want to be afraid to attack. And yet it's a double-edged sword like you're talking about, because anytime you do attack, you're actually opening yourself up to Spain on the other side. Terra defending their Ferran Torres, trying to keep it. Goes down, no foul.
And keep in mind, too, you have with Spain, for Cape Verde's sake, you've got to deal with the first wave of attack, the second wave, the third wave, and the fourth wave. And I'm talking about all the different subs and options that they have to change the dynamic. As you can see, the match momentum, you don't need me to point that out to you. It's pretty obvious, but one little opportunity for Cape Verde, and yeah, that is the constant dilemma that they will have. And I think it's one of those situations you want to keep the game tight as long as you can, and if the opportunity is there, you take it. If not, you get content. But that's a goal that can be offside and will be offside.
And Mendes there at the end of the ball from Kevin Pina. It's interesting on something new for the first time in a while.
Just want to touch too early. Nice look there, good. Able to get turned in space there. Duarte playing that long ball.
That's something where, again, a bit of a tweak to the old protocol in VAR, where the AR would have actually let that completely go. He's waiting for confirmation that what he saw with his eyes was correct from the semi-automated offside technology. Yes, indeed, it is offside. Put your flag up in the play now. What is the system working, even if it feels a bit different than it has been? across to Ferran Torres now. Knocked away, trying to play for Llorente. That will indeed be a foul as City Lopez Cabral was trying to break out.
Just below us during that replay sequence there, they've got players from Cape Verde going to that pocket of fan. They're right by the corner, that near corner. They're trying to get them riled up and make them loud in what is a very Spanish-dominant support throughout this stadium. But they have their support, they feel it. I'm sure just about every television back home will be tuned into this.
Here in the U.S., yes, conservative population, it tends to be centered around New England.
But that local rating will be about a 99.5.
At the one direct flight route from Cape Verde into the U.S. goes into Providence, Rhode Island. And this is the closest that Cape Verde will be in their 3 games to Rhode Island and Massachusetts, where a lot of that diaspora community lives in the U.S. Rodri, Pedri. This is what they want, Spain, because Cape Verde are a bit stretched out. Rizabal couldn't roll it in for Ferran Torres. He saw the angle and closed down. Liverpool's going to try from midfield because Unai Simon was off his line.
Not a good idea. Look, when you're not going to have many opportunities in front of goal, then maybe you get a little fluke deflection like that. And Unai Simon, you're not expecting Rodri to turn over the ball. He was at the very top of his back. So he's taking a world-class striker. Sound like in our studio, Carly Roy, who scored one from half field.
Fernando, the 4 goals in qualifying, has scored in 5 of his last 10 games for Cape Verde. Even as you mentioned, he hasn't scored a goal in almost 2 years for his club. He's a different player for his national team than he is for his club. He's in Portugal. Laporte.
I think the other thing missing for Spain right now is 2 of the players that were injury doubts coming in there on the bench. Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams. Why? The directness, the 1v1 ability.
Pedri clipping it in, Kukurea getting it behind with Dangerous.
Oh. Nope.
It's the running mill from Kukurea, top of the screen. He's looking to make this little diagonal run. And by the time the ball came, it was just a touch too late. Getting into a good spot. It's a great ball across. But that was then really well dealt with by the defense for Cape Verde to push it out. And then a good save from Rosinha that we won't get credit for because he was offside. But the point I was going to make is they're just missing some more 1v1, 2v1 type guys that can beat their man or 2 men off the dribble, and it opens up the field. And those are 2 of the best players in the world we're talking about, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. But everybody right now for Spain is getting attracted to the ball. They want to touch, they want to combine, and there's just no space for that. So if you have players that can stay wide and on the end line, then they can get running at a defense and make them just a little bit more imbalanced.
Very short, your long. Cabral now, after the free kick. Cabral. Simon didn't seem terribly bothered. He's bothered now. He's screaming to try to get a ball and put it back into play.
Jovan Cabral coming inside, trying to get over the top of that one, but look, when you have a look at goal like that, as we said, you got to give those back, even though you caught the same souvenir.
Well, if you're a kid getting streamed at by Unai Simon, that's not a cool thing to tell your friends.
I feel like a center back.
He will switch to Ferran Torres as Cabral comes to meet him. Garcia. Pedri. Back from the court. Inside of Fabian Ruiz. Llorente. Rizabal will cycle it around. Rodri into the middle. Pedri far back. He's just able to keep it for Reyes. Lueders was chasing him down.
Oh! Oh, come on! Oh, this could be it! Nope, not quite.
It's the same run from Kukurea. This time he is onside. So hard to defend because you don't want to drop too far as a fullback can open up space. Great header across goal again for Torres. Hits the crossbar, can't stay over the first one. And it's only a second that ball's going in. The 40-year-old turning back time. Porzingha with a huge save.
His second of the game gives Spain their second corner. Because here's the thing, if you're Cape Verde, you're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here. You're 5 minutes to stoppage time away from halftime. And the significance of getting there 0-0. Referee managing all the chaos here.
And Spain normally play these short, but I think this situation they're going to try to stack it right on top of Porzingha.
Exactly what happens. Referee controls the second ball. Rodri, great quick movement. And that was mishit. Ruiz there. You're starting to see here a little bit of the You're starting to see a bit of the body language.
I think you just saw Belafonte talking to his bench there about, look, that's the type of play and the type of movement that we need to create chances. Before Torres comes, normally that's got to be in the back of the net. I think Porzingha does a good job of making himself big and coming at his feet a little bit, and he's trying just to push the ball over the top of him. It's a too heavily, it hits off the crossbar, but then a great recovery from Porzingha. Good credit. He had to get back up to his feet, get back in set as that looping header was coming in, and he's able to power that over the top of the crossbar because Oyosako couldn't quite get the power on it because of the height the ball was at for him.
Entry now, Spain up in the tempo. It slips away from Kukurea. He's a halftime show on Fox. Jules, Tiago, Marley, and Javier in our LA studio. Spinning right back up to Cape Verde front. Rodri back out wide. Cross comes in. Javier Ruiz the target. Lopez Cabral is there. There's space for Cape Verde. They've got the numbers right now. Real Mendes options either side. Real Mendes now back to his right. Livramento. That's Duarte, in fact. He's 1v2. He almost wiggled away. Ends up in the hands of Unai Simon.
The stadium comes to life when they see it. There's a lot of neutrals we saw on the stands walking in. I think there's your tendencies to then, when a game's tight like this and there's excitement, to start to side with the underdog. And so as they're breaking away, you're seeing fans standing up and the energy lifts. And then it's back to business as usual.
Remember, we'll have at least 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the half because of the hydration break. Shouldn't be much more than that. Patrick. Will dance around John Cabral. And Ruiz will go up top. There's Hamlet all the way out wide, dropping in. Used to get out of it. Trying to direct traffic. Rodri back in the middle from Pedri. Pedri cuts it in. Torres trying to return, might be offside. He's going to defend anyway. Now the flag does come up as designed, but he's offside. It's a free kick for Cape Verde.
They're working the left side of the field though a lot in Spain. They seem to like that matchup with Kukurea's intelligence and the types of runs that he's making, like this run right here. He makes a great run, really unselfish again to just lay it off in the right spot. Everything was good except the finish. Torres missing that one. Another look at the spectacular save from the goal camp. And it was Torres who, in the opening match of 2022, had given that 7-0 thumping of Costa Rica. He had a brace, had 2 goals in that game. And we'll see if this game does open up in the second half for him. As he went down with something, but they're going to play out.
He had a tackle there. Nicholas Cabral, way over close to cross. That's the other piece of it. Those balls from Cape Verde do get an attack on third.
Do they have the quality?
Misty was wearing a jacket earlier.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the lineups, but Alexi and I were at the draw for the World Cup last year in DC, and just talking about Misty after the game, and we asked him, what do you expect now you got the good? How are you feeling? And he said, we've already won. I beat you. I mean, this is a nation and a team that are playing free. You heard Chicharito.
Oh! No.
Challenges in air post, opens it up for Torres, comes all the way from the right side. Once again, the chance creation coming down the left for Spain. That has been their strength. That's where they're finding. It was a turnover.
Lueders picks it up, and Aaron passes. Cape Verde trying to play out of the back. And his uncle had a tackle off of him. That was entry, in fact. And that'll be a goal kick. And now we're at 45 minutes. We'll see what the number. It'll be 4 still to go.
I think to your point, that's very much what they're thinking now. Can we just get to half? We've done so well to this point. 45 minutes of real togetherness and the way in which they defended. They really haven't limited or given Spain too many clear-cut opportunities outside of the that one, and then now the second one for him as he doesn't get full contact with power on that ball. He's trying to find that far post of Rosina's goal. But I think Spain and even this crowd starting to feel that they're turning the screw a little bit.
Change here before the break. Cape Verde, it is just get to halftime at 0-0. ORC looking for something, anything. Ball for Rodriguez. Guerrero forced to go backwards. Comes to get it. And a return to Rodri now for the bottom. First time ball in. That was meant for Llorente. It'll be a Spain corner.
Yeah, seeing Rodri in an advanced left wing position, that tells you that the Spaniards, including an experienced player like himself, feeling a little impatient. They want to get a goal. They don't like this game going the longer it is 0-0. They know the expectations for this team and how they've largely dominated the game with the ball. They haven't got them working. It's one of the things I did say in the last quarter. Spain like to play these short and play the ball around because you're not creating any chances. Why not play direct?
It does just that. Header. Touchdown from Lozini. That might have been goal wide. The ball handled up here off the head of the goal. The out from the corner on the other side.
Good looking ball. They beat the first man. That's key. Not sure whether that came off the defender or it was Laporte. But either way, just wide, but either way you have to make that save. This time from this side, they like the in-swinging ball, which they're going to try to put the pressure on.
Comes again to the near post. Solid header away by Pico Lopez. Goes to Duarte trying to play the outlet. Cucurella. There's some big pressure from Rhea Mendez and forces the air clearance out for a Cape Verde throw. Zenia 4 saves in total in this first half.
It'll even be interesting as these teams go in for the half here, the reception from the crowd, the feeling from both teams. Cape Verde will be happy. We've got a couple of fans just to our right over here that every save was just making, jumping for joy and excitement. So then the fans they're enjoying every moment of this as well.
1 minute left in the half.
So far.
Change in a heartbeat with this Spain team. Entry. Torres, Lucas Llorente,
Oh,
It's not sideways.
come on.
Producing a lot of quality
And he's scored in 6 straight games. He's provided a goal or assist in every game for a year. It's just not quite been there so far today.
But it's getting there. That's the more important thing. The chance creation is improving. They're finding space wide. They're making good decisions on the crosses. That time, Llorente realized that he didn't have any space to fire that one really hard on the ground and just stands it up to the back post for Oyasako to attack it. But he got a little bump, still beat his man, and he felt even had a little recognition. It's looking like they had somebody else committing to try to get on the end of it.
And that is the
And that's the other first half.
fascinating first half here in Atlanta to Jules Breach in our LA studio.
No, I like my Ultra. Michelob Ultra, official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
This is Arby's cheesesteak with 100% Angus steak and melty Cooper cheese. Some say it's meat and cheese done right. And some people don't say anything because, frankly, it's rude to talk with your mouth full.
Arby's, we have the meat.
It's the dog park with all the dogs there. And the people you see that you don't really know because it's the dog park.
He's got an ear infection. I said ear infection. Ear. It sounds like you're in a tunnel. It's in his ear. Ear infection.
Protect your pet from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance.
Did you know salsa was invented when Puerto Ricans took Cuban rhythms to New York? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was born when the Japanese took judo to Brazil. When North African frying traditions met Spanish dough, Spain made the churro. After Jamaicans took their sound systems to the UK, the world got hard. And this is what the world gets when 48 nations meet to play one beautiful game.
Get 1.9% APR financing or a $2,500 customer bonus on a select new 2026 Tiguan.
Friday on Fox. After their dominant win in LA, the second the U.S. take on Australia. Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
FIFA World Cup 2026 on Fox is presented by Blaze.
So, a bit of a surprise first half in Atlanta. The World Cup James has Cape Verde holding firm against the reigning European champions, Spain. As you can see, the players are out on the pitch. They're ready for the second half. Let's get you out with Don Strong's still on.
Jules, Atlanta hip-hop legends Chris Cross and Jump moving through the stadium here, bringing us both back to when we were kids. This is really interesting because, again, we saw yesterday, Curacao put up a good fight in the first half, and then the walls kind of caved in on us. And I guess that's the question. If you're Spain, are you worried? Are you just staying focused? How do you approach this? Because if you're Cape Verde, at the very least, this is what we said, the victory is getting you. The victory is getting this one. And now you're all kind of house in this second.
They are. But Spain have been here before. Not worried about Spain just yet. A little bit of adversity in the first half. Typically, these games start to open up in the second half. One of the things to consider, this game is being played in a dome. The temperature, the conditions are perfect from a soccer perspective, so you're not going to have the same type of wear and tear that you would playing outdoor. But can they maintain it for 90 minutes? That's always the big question. They are exerting a lot of energy trying to close down these gaps, and the one moment you don't, Spain can make you pay. But I am interested to see what potential ideas and tweaks that Luis De La Fuente has really instilled in his team to try a little bit more. And we did see the left side. We did see some of these runs from fullbacks in behind. I think we're going to see a lot more runs in behind from different players at different moments.
Cape Verde coaching staff on the same page because Misty and one of his assistants in a long, in-depth conversation as they're kind of watching how Spain comes out to begin the second half. Spain are notoriously slow starters at World Cups. That is objectively true, even through the generations. Their 7-0 record win against Costa Rica last World Cup was the exception, far more than the rule. Good step by Jamiro Montero. Can't win the ball, but just forces Spain back. It was just the third time since the 1960s that Spain had won their opening game at a World Cup. Looked in by Laporte. Gavi the touch. Rosiña is there. Break. 4 saves for 40-year-old Rosiña.
Yeah, it was a comment I was going to make. We talk so often about World Cups being platforms for players, and it changes their lives. You see players get big moves to different clubs, and have relatively been anonymous before that point. And I was thinking about Rosiña. Here he's putting on a bit of a show. 40 years old, I don't know. This could be the pinnacle. This will be, and absolutely is the pinnacle of his career. And he's making a great impression and keeping his team in the first half.
Spain, the European champions, one of the favorites to win this World Cup. Cape Verde on their first ever World Cup appearance, the third smallest nation ever to get to this tournament. Not just because it expanded, they outdueled Cameroon in qualifying, the most successful appearances, at least, African team in World Cup history. Marco Barsi from Marcos Llorente. Cape Verde able to force Spain back. Lorena making a big run. It comes inside instead for Gavi. He's going to come back out to Pedri. Pedri trying to drive to the ball line. Pedri gets the cross in. And flashing. It's going to stay great. Going towards it to go for Llorente. Who's always on around the touch. Comes backward now. Shot through traffic. Just misses that top corner.
Well, one of the things I noticed there is they are trying to now keep Pedri a little bit lighter because of this. The beat guy off the table, gets a little unbalanced there on Herrera, puts a great ball into the box. Sabo is the winner of the first header, but just kind of flashed across to get enough on it. As then the shot came from Fabian Ruiz at the end of that sequence. That ball was always over the top of Rosiña's goal. Seeing Pedri, Gavi floating out to this left side alongside with Herrera. It's clearly an area that they feel they have consistently gotten in behind and that a chance can be created from.
And that's what Cape Verde can't do. You have this kind of a blind ball by Pico Lopez given away. Jamiro Montero couldn't win it and keep it. The right backs are running and chasing defensively. Gavi, great little return. Gavi into the middle for Fabian Ruiz. Dueling with Montero is able to get there. It's too far for João Cabral. Breaks down there for Cape Verde. You've got Steven Moreira at right back, currently in the Columbus Crew. Jamiro Montero in the middle, formerly of the San Jose Earthquakes and Philadelphia Union. That's one of the things Steven Moreira said pregame. We want to compete. We want to enjoy this. We want to put on a good performance. What the Misty said. We want to showcase our country, showcase our culture in a good way. It's a great ball, it's not too easy to get back to it, no. Durante was there in time. Kevin Pina now. Laporte comes forward off the chest, header back into the middle. João Cabral's going to pick it up and again. Barsi is way off his line. I was probably going to be outside anyway for Livramento.
It's a challenge for them though when they have these little quick opportunities to break. Just so far, the quality hasn't quite been there, and the timing of the passes to make anything of those opportunities. Livramento made a great run, but the ball was too late. He had to hold it up because he knew he'd be offside.
Ruiz has to handle that. Just good out. Herrera. Livramento. Pina in traffic, give it away. Now Spain goes in transition. Comes to the far side. Here's the best chance of the game, baby. And it's again Fabian Ruiz. It gets flashed up. Also, Ruiz missed the target.
He's just reaching for it, but this is the turnover. As soon as Cape Verde got possession, they all start to step out of that defensive structure, but that left them exposed because of just a careless turnover in the middle of the field. Great tackle though from behind where he's up. And then it's to Pedri. Ball goes wide from Ruiz. He's stretching for that one a little off balance and leaning back. So as much as we talked about even just a little moments that Cape Verde had, the quality hasn't quite been there. That's another example of settling for the wrong option. And that shows I'm not testing Brasilia in the goal from that distance. They haven't had that many good looks. To our left, you've got a whole host of players warming up that could come in and make a real impact.
Pedri gets it back. Deflected cross in the air, Rafinha. Comes to take it, he does.
And there was a pre-match interview inside the stadium here with assistant coach and Spain talking about Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, their availability, both banged up with some muscle injuries. Lamine Yamal hasn't played since April 22nd. Would he play? The answer was, well, we'll see how the game goes. As the game is going, the one trying to think we might see them as opposed to not, which coming in, I would imagine the plan was, we don't need them, let's not play them, let's hope they make it go into the tournament. So we'll see what type of urgency there is to their play here. How much he feels he needs to change the game with the subs that they have to make a difference.
This was interesting because it looked like it was going to be a foul in Gavi's favor there. That's right, Mendez, and the referee played on the first moment, and it was the second challenge. Ended up as a free kick for Cape Verde. Scan the QR code on the screen. Vote for the Michelob Ultra Superior Player of the Match. Which way is this going to go? Which way is that vote going to go? A couple different options. As you said, you've got a group of players warming up for Spain. We would walk into the starting lineup with most nations at this tournament.
Very much true. Because we talked so much about the French depth, but then we've got Daniel and I want to get back to that side.
Goes out with Leonard trying to catch Lucinia. Mishit it. Because Lucinia was chasing forward the defender Torres, who was in the middle.
So I'm not sure if he was trying that or ended up working that way, because he had a wide open player. I think it was Ferran Torres wide open in the middle. Watches, Ferran Torres, I think he's trying to pick him out, and he just mishits that ball off his toe. And Lucinia saw it, and that was the right move to try to come out and help, because Ferran Torres without a wide open header.
And Borges now. Ball stayed in place. Ferran Torres saves it in. And Pina able to recover it momentarily. Here's Jamila Montero. And Borges hits the eject up. And Mendez there in a big challenge with Cucurella. One of the interesting things with this new rule change is a few times where Rosinia, even on goal kicks, he would like to take more time. He'd like to let everyone go up the field, take 30 seconds off the clock. But you can't do that now. That's actually worked in Spain's favor.
I think all of these recent law changes with regards to this tournament have been in the spirit of speeding the game up, actual match time play, and the one we saw between Paraguay and the United States, where there was the attempt by Iran to draw a yellow card by diving, and that was instantly reversed, given a yellow card. It discourages players from those actions. It speeds up the game of play. So I'm all for these changes as long as they can be implemented quickly
and consistently. To Garcia. To Ferran Torres. With some cuts, Lucinia had to be sure that he was. To the point, Lucinia plays in the Portuguese second tier. And Mendez out on the right plays in the second division in Turkey. Pico Lopez plays in the League of Ireland. Steven Moreira of MLS. It's going to be played out here because of a concern somewhere, or maybe a miscommunication. And yet, if you were to just judge this game based off of the club names to some of these players, and Sharon Sobral has an issue, you would think this would just be a walkover for Spain. That's what we're starting to see here. Spain, number 2 in FIFA's rankings. Cape Verde 67, one of the biggest gaps in World Cup history in the FIFA rankings. The expectations, the experience of the players. And yet here we are, 0-0, 55-minute play. Look for Metzona. Chase there is not going to win. And Simon out in time. to head for Figueroa. Alex Aljo reporting yesterday, echoing the reports from overseas, is about to make a big move. It's going to come into the middle of Garcia. Goes right to the right place at the right time. That was fighting Ruiz, who had the free header. He was put right at the stadium.
Yeah, what he's trying to do just is to flip this ball on back towards the far post. Top part was the ball was just floated in there. He could find him. It was really delicate ball over the top, and it meant that he had to try to generate the power. And that's tough when you're facing away from goal. So Brazilian just chested that ball down.
Figueroa reportedly sent a move from Chelsea to Real Madrid, and here's the first change in the wings. Below Duarte, here's the younger brother of Lars Duarte on the field for Cape Verde. He's getting set to come on with the 7 sets of brothers that are playing at this World Cup. And all of them are for the same nation. Sometimes it's 2 sets, 2 brothers playing for different nations. Laporte lifts it in. Under roll by Lopez Cabral. Montero put it backwards, trying to keep possession. Blasina will scramble out and prevent the corner. Multiple changes coming from Cape Verde. Willie Semedo for going to come on as well. Even more than that. Ray makes his way around the stadium here in Atlanta. Audrey from the corner. Tag down one, just puts it too high.
To beat Brazilian on day today. This is what's inspired with the ball. So it's underneath it, so it's always looking up over the top of the goal.
18th shot of the game for Spain. Hit that one, trying to keep it out to the left. Ferran Torres puts it in the middle. It's Potter backwards there. Dine Borges will give Spain their 5th corner of the game. Exactly, Cape Verde should be moving. Should we try to play on the back and keep the ball like that? Or maybe some fighting things?
That's pretty awesome by the way. Pactas impressive way to move that in unison going around. It speaks to really what happened with goal action, I think, as well. The crowd's ready to be entertained. Cape Verde, they picked their balls over, they still go long. Now the Spanish go up there using the short corner, trying to create an advantage.
Bobby hooks it in. Number 1 by Hernandez. Three Cape Verdean substitutions in the wings. Spain stage. There was some real pressure there to keep it for Tennessee.
And these are interesting moments for the restart, the coach here for Cape Verde, because you want to make something.
Entry off the gut, just enough of touch from Pico Lopez to send it wide. Fabian Ruiz back in the middle of the sea. It's a great take.
You want to make yourselves because you want to continue to levels high and fresh and still close down gaps and stay together, but at the same time, one of the challenges, especially for a country like that that has a limited talent pool, that the subs coming in, the level drops a little bit, you come into a game that is trying to get up to the speed of the game very quickly, and that's where sometimes you can see mistakes happen off the back of substitutions.
A long switch, Mendez brings it down, uses Morera as a decoy. Mendez, Scotty defensively, great tackle, great challenge, wins the ball, spins the other way perhaps. Over the shoulder goes to Dine Borges, Ferran Torres could get clearly inside. And Dine Borges could not present a Spain court. Boy, from one end of the field back to the other so quick with 30 minutes to go.
What a ball from Rodri, just with his left foot, just finessed it over the top of Borges. He thought he could get it, he couldn't, and it leads straight to another Spanish corner as now Cape Verde will take the chance to make 3 subs, which is also another part of the game. Typically for coaches, you don't want to make subs on set piece situations in the attacking half or the defensive half, rather, because you have players coming off. You got to make sure they understand their instructions and they have their marks when they come into this game.
Center forward Livramento replaced by Nuno da Costa. Left winger Jean-Marc Cabral replaced by Willie Semedo. He's coming off a career year at the age of 32. And Duarte replaces his older brother Leroy in midfield. got to figure out their marks here. And at the 6th point of the game for Spain. Outswinger, Bozenia, punch. Correa trying to hook it back in, and uncontested catch there for Cape Verde's goalkeeper. Soneto, first touch of the game, and he's muscled right off it. Lueders. Next mile marker for Cape Verde will be the second half hydration break in a little bit. Ruiz looking that one in. Was just enough. He kept that away from Correa. That was the ultimate goal. Dance through like Pedri and just eventually gets off of it. Mendes now. Fisher Company plays it out. A reminder, James Jordan, the After Hours crew on Fox tonight for another wrap-up of today's World Cup action. Norway, they're all in it, except for his World Cup debut later today. Rome Zlatan Ibrahimovic on the show tonight. That'll be on Fox tonight at midnight. Local time, wherever you are in the country.
So our good friend Alexei Wallace on the show tonight with the whole audience full of Wallaces.
Terrifying.
It was.
Report. Spain keep their cool while still kind of edging up the intensity. Find a way through. They've been held so far by Cape Verde. That cross blocked in the air by Semedo. First to react was Sidney Lopez Cabral. Garcia has an important sliding interception by Willie Semedo. Rodri, flip it across, Correa brings it down into the middle, Pico Lopez stabs it away. Costa just on the field, 1v4 right now, Correa comes back to help out. With the point for Cape Verde on their debut at the World Cup is the third smallest nation by population ever qualifying, was to make a good impression of themselves and their country and their people. Whatever happens in the next half an hour, they've done that. They've got the world's attention right now. Certainly with an earlier kickoff in the U.S., prime time in Europe, and across Africa. Everyone is watching this right now. Slipped through 2 footballers in.
Intense conversations right below us. He's going to front and his coaches. So some of that's going to be tactical. Some of it's going to be personnel. Okay, so we need to put class in case of emergency and bring out Nico Williams.
Would you?
At this point, yeah. But I also don't know the physical shape that they were in. So it's hard to truly answer. But I want those guys on the bench. I want them on the field if I'm Spain right now. But what is the risk worth the reward in the first game of the World Cup when you're anticipating and hoping you can go 8 matches? But certainly just watching them warm up right now, you're starting to get to that end phase where they've got their staff going through more intensive sprint-type warm-up beyond just the jogging and the stretching. So that leads to me to believe they might. But again, we'll see.
Of the port there. The shoulder looks off. I think the pressure around his face. That's what he's ready to continue. But here's the other part of the conversation. Spain, yes, European champions. Phenomenal 3 years. Look forward there. Held by Steven Moreira. Injured is trying to find Correa. Last 2 World Cups. How they go out on penalties in the round of 16 to Russia and Morocco. 1,000 passes completed in each of those games, but they couldn't win. So we have seen this before from Spain out of World Cup against an opponent who is defending and playing in this manner as Cape Verde. Garcia. Outside the full third charge, and Aaron Montero comes down. Referee's consistent. He's not going to whistle those moments particularly tightly. It's scrambled away. We are 1 or 2 minutes away from the second half hydration break. Mitchell had a couple runners and apologizes to them both for not playing the pass. Watcher for Cucurella. Here Lueders, Sorrente was making a jump, was right to his feet. Ball for Rodri. Cheers and the boos coming. Just got that pass away. Lueders. Llorente. Montero flying through there. Llorente back from Lueders. Montero from behind pokes it away. Cape Verde having to struggle to deal with this right now. Lopez Cabrera under some pressure. And that's great pressure by Llorente. Wing Spain a corner.
And by the way, down to our left, here on the board, that's the big wall. Got the push from the coaching staff. So yes, breaking the glass.
We're moments away from the hydration break. It's the seventh corner for Spain. It's looked in from Zenia. Can't get it cleanly, at least in the first attempt. Grabs on the second one. Took a punt from and yes, Lamine Yamal preparing to enter on the other side of the hydration break. If you know someone who's not watching, send them a text or a call back. They've got a couple minutes to get dialed into this one as you see that last moment there. Zenia took that foul. This hydration break is powered by Powerade. 20 minutes and change to go here in Atlanta. No score between Spain and Cape Verde. A fantastic finish is on the way.
While the world sleeps, the legends rise to fuel their dreams with open eyes. They train in quiet, out of sight, and give their all day and night. To train, to fall, to rise to power. Not by chance, but by one's own power. Power your legacy with Powerade.
Car crashes injure over 1 million of us every year. Because we're human. But for over a decade, we must been building a driver that's safer. Statistically, 10 times safer in the cities we serve. Not because humans aren't enough, but because they're everything.
Sometimes you need a helping hand on the journey home. When you partner with Rocket Mortgage and Redfin on your next move, you can save up to $12,000. Buy and sell your home with Redfin. Finance with Rocket Mortgage. Save up to $12,000. Find out more at rocketmortgage.com.
You know how some things in life just belong together? Sundays and self-care. Every nanny needs its petty, so why choose between scent and softness? Dove Body Wash with 24-hour micro moisture gives you both.
Some say Latinas are too loud. Yeah, very loud.
Swing and a high fly ball hitting the air left center field. This one's got a chance.
And here comes the cavalry for Spain. Lamine Yamal, will we see him or not? As he's been dealing with a hamstring injury since April 22nd. Global star that he is making now his World Cup debut. Just 18 years of age. He and the cavalry are on. stoppage time to go. Spain, one of the favorites to win this World Cup. The reigning European champions have not been beaten in over 2 years in any match. Scoreless with Cape Verde on their first ever World Cup appearance, the third smallest nation ever qualifying. They are 20 minutes away from one of the most shocking results in the history of this tournament. What are you looking for here now?
Well, one of the things with the hydration that the coaches get to do when they make subs, that does count as a sub window, but it gives an opportunity to read the ball. That's it, he looks good.
Here it comes again, hands it off inside. Marino, his fellow sub. Pedri, one quick away. Pedri didn't hear the footsteps and can't very scramble around.
But the coaches get a chance to not just talk to the subs coming on about tactics, but the entire team. So Marino's going to go up and play up front alongside Lueders. Marino all out to the right, coming in onto the left, where Torres has switched sides. So now you have a player Marino is going to want to come in and be in shot danger with his left, where you see him so often on the right side for Barcelona for Spain. But yes, electric on the dribble and looks 100% and feels work there. Here it is now.
Working on Luis Semedo, 32-year-old. Long-time veteran. He gets the help.
But that's the thing. Because of his ability on the ball, now you have to overcommit when they weren't doing before. They've got 3 players against him, and there's one down already.
Inside for the right side. It's amazing. Just right on Zinnia. That was Marino. Indeed it was. 6th save for Bosnia.
He doesn't have confidence. He knows it. He's a blockbuster. Tracks 3 defenders, beats his first, opens up the game, finds Llorente. They cut it back for Marino, the first shot saved. And they've got 18 minutes plus stoppage to try to keep this Spanish team who's been reinvigorated just by the injection of Lueders.
Here he is again. Recycle it now. He's in. Pico Lopez heads away. Cucurella first to the loose ball. Bolt. He's had a whole time defending him. He was just going to extra option to keep moving this around. Laporte hooks it in behind the options. She's very much here to send it out. Although Nuno posted. Stop clock. Wasn't watching the ball. Pedri flips it over the top. Lamine brings it down. Semedo. Rodri. Pedri. Llorente. Pedri. The white shirts around him. Trying to clear. It was blocked off the post. It was blocked by his hand. He stopped playing. Referee and his assistant didn't see anything in there. Spain back on the attack. 16 minutes plus stoppage time. A clock that feels awfully fast if you're wearing a red shirt. It feels awfully slow if you're a Cape Verde fan. Torres blocked by the traffic. And then they try to out to Costa to have the touch. Garcia will win it right back. 1 minute to try to commit a foul there to prevent any sort of counter the other way. It happens to go back to the last moment.
And you saw that beginning of that sequence, Lamine Yamal, the ball's in his area, and he was telling him, no, get it away.
Slip through. Interception. Dan Borges, that was meant for Lamine Yamal. He was in the corner. Get a referee. He's letting him play. It was only after a while that he blows that goal.
But why Lamine Yamal in that situation is saying, no, recycle the ball out the other side is because he recognized there were too many players in that moment as Cape Verde are going to make us up on that side. And when they can get the quicker ball circulation back to him, he has more of an opportunity to create stuff as opposed to just pumping the ball back. Such a high football IQ.
So this is a left back switch, and this is where this game in this sport is so wonderful. That John Holland is 28. He plays in Romania. Previously was playing Moldova. He is now the primary defender on Lamine Yamal for the next 15 minutes plus stoppage time in the World Cup game.
And quite frankly, a situation I wouldn't even imagine he could dream himself being in. There you go.
As you can see on the scoreboard on your screen, Cape Verde have a 1 remaining substitution. Spain has 3 available if they want to use it. Lamine Yamal, Joao Paulo was just on the field. Back to Llorente. Luxury will clip it in. Steven Moreira slides across to head away. Montero tries to head it forward. It breaks right back down. Out to Cucurella. Off the court. Acosta harassing him. Can't take him off the ball just yet. Now he does. Can't very keep it no. Can they do anything with it? No. Rodri, Cucurella. A lot of traffic in there. Ferran Torres was behind Arizona. And after that clearance in the end, to get it all the way up by Kevin Pina. Spain trying to break this go down. Cape Verde trying to hold on for one of the most shocking results, even if it finishes a tie in the history of the World Cup. For Lamine Yamal. Hasn't played a month and a half. In for Llorente, coming in by Torres was blocked. Chance not done. Follow through traffic was blocked as well by Misty. Correa. More than 20 shots for Spain in this game. 6 saves made by Bozini, the 40-year-old goalkeeper of Cape Verde. Forced backwards. He'll be there to help him out. Cucurella. Get around Ray Mendez. All-time leader, games played and goal scoring for Cape Verde. Defending on the outside there. And Mendez gives it away. Cucurella.
The thing with Cape Verde as well, they're not just being organized, defensive, together. They're doing well and getting pressure in the crosses. So Spain aren't just getting free looks and delivering ball into the box. And it's a tough ask, time after time after time to do that. 2 men against Lamine Yamal again.
Lamine Yamal cutting it back on Semedo. He's able to sweep it away. Oh, he's almost forced to lose ball. He's standing behind for a corner. Last ditch defending there.
That was Lamine Yamal who poked away from the position. I was going to say that was the ball that went out. They would have flipped that. But another chance for some. Looks like actually Danny Olmo as well for Spain is starting to get ready as well. From that bench, they're continuing to get other players over.
Cape Verde making their final sub. Jamiro Montero, the former MLS player, replaced by Tamara Poncho. Corner kick number 8 of the game for Spain. Yamal hooks it into the near post, header away. That was Ray Mendez there. Back in by Cucurella. Bozini punched his own teammate, didn't get the ball. Scrambled wide. Oizama picks it up. Oizama lifts it up. Correa gets headed back across and out by Kevin Pina.
It doesn't matter how, it just matters that you do. It's a bit of a scramble, but they have just been competitive. You can feel it. Everything is on the line. Closing down crosses.
Llorente. Marino for Lamine Yamal. For Mikel Marino. Popping it all the way out wide. For Cucurella. Llorente, out of the report, by the way, setting up as a center forward right now. They're not crossing it in. Now striking the ball, stacked away by Dino Borges. They're just committing an extra man into the front line of the attack right now, Spain. 10 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Trying to find a way through. Back to pass. Lamine Yamal going to be in there. Trying to cross. He's going to be out for a corner. Semedo had an important touch to prevent it hitting Yamal in stride.
Might have glanced off Lamine Yamal there. But even the fact that he could have just let that run for a corner, but he wanted to play it because he felt he was in behind. There's a set man for Torres off. Danny Olmo, and he's scored some good goals for Spain.
Again, almost unfair amount of depth that they have
switched it.
And they have changed it. So Joe Dickerson, the American video assistant referee, did indeed one of these new rule changes for the World Cup change the decision on the field. It's Cape Verde goal kick. 9 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Luis de la Fuente doing all he can to keep his cool. Lamine Yamal, his teenage super duper star, back from injury on the field. Trying to prevent, I mean, at this point, again, we talked at the beginning of the night about do they have to win well, do they have to win with style. That's done. That's over. Now, can they just find a way to win instead? Marino is going to find you one. Great first touch. Didi Lueders across for the second one. Great. Measured half a punch for your rental. Lamine Yamal. Willie Samana. Early cross in. Marino. Off through the air. Take an extra second and a half there to do that. That's his second save of the game.
Well, he's not looking to recognize an early delivery can cause problems. Three players attacking it. And then so that means now you've got everybody man-to-man in the back. Pops up Kukurea going direct for goal, but it's skipped up to a nice height for Lozinga.
Really with some possession here after the long punt. Borges, Joe Paulo. He goes down holding his face. That's going to be a foul committed by Lamine Yamal. Tomorrow on Fox Sports 11, they haven't come to agree. The massive triple header starts with France against Senegal. And Iraq will take on Erling Haaland. And Norway will be in Kansas City to see the reigning champions Argentina and Lionel Messi beginning their time of defense against Algeria. Cover starts 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Tomorrow, Cape Verde, it's going to be blipped in here. Jorge Simon, early in the noon today, but Lueders is line there. And for Joy Durante. 7 minutes plus stoppage time to go. This is already the most famous moment in Cape Verde sporting history, just to be here. The idea that they would take a point off of Spain, the reigning European champions, where the favorites who win the World Cup. So even if they lose, they have become heroes and global darlings with their performance so far today here on Atlanta. And they get it across the line. Can Spain finally crash through 22 shots, the huge edge in possession. Lamine Yamal and bounced off Llorente. Semedo would not make his way through that out for Cape Verde throw. But they can't take as much time off the clock now in these moments, as historically has been the case. See Luis de la Fuente trying to find a solution. Quickly, the return there from Marino was blocked. I think coming the other way from Cape Verde, it's a chance to bring the line up and breathe for a moment. Audrey, pass to Lamine Yamal, not going to get there, headed away by Joe Paulo.
And we haven't had too many incidents that would provide a big stoppage beyond the 11 minutes for the hydration break.
Nico Williams preparing to enter for Spain. Kukurea on the deck, behind the target, pumped away, fired back in, but wide. Shot 23 of the game there. Audrey couldn't put it on target.
Nice idea with the cutback ball this time, because everything has been towards the goal. Took a little deflection, pumped out to Rodriguez. Scored a few from outside the box from that distance. One time whipped it across the ball away. Even just his body language after spoke to just the frustration that this Spanish team is feeling.
Paul wanted to make a big run forward. Now he had to sprint back with the win for a state try. Next up was Lamine Yamal. Rovers trying to find the open space. Right to the goal. Danny Olmo. That's out of 5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Here's Danny Olmo again. Rovers trying to find options. Kukurea. For the ball. At what point do they just start lifting in the box? Sending crosses in. The traditional Spanish way. Lamine Yamal. Just trying to hook it in. The pass was blocked. Good step to get there. Now Lily Semedo on the outside. Now full race to the loose ball. Wins the race with Llorente. Wins the throw-in as well. Inside 4 minutes. Plus stoppage time. Here comes the other player that they really didn't want to have to use today. Nico Williams himself coming off a hamstring injury at the beginning of May. And replace Rodri. That's it for Spain in substitutions. They've used 4 of the 5, but they've used all 3 windows with which to make substitutions.
So now the more traditional look for Spain, with 2 really dynamic vertical players wide. There just hasn't been space for any verticality when Cape Verde made the game so compact and tight and limited space. But now it gives them options on both sides. 1v1 players who can beat men off the dribble. That is Lamine Yamal now on that right side, so they can switch the point of attack quickly. They might be able to find a look, but here's a chance to get Lamine Yamal.
Here's again against Paulo. Early crossing. Down almost taking the ball. Almost tackles it right. It's over to the left off the defender. Nico Lopez was only on this field because he bothered to return the message 9 months later. Finally saved the goal.
He did save the goal. What a block. Because Lamine Yamal, a little creature outside of the boot. Ball finds Denny, although he cuts it back to Oyasaba. And that ball, he hits it wrong, but it off frame at least. But laying his body on the line.
9th corner for Spain. Rolling Schiller. Injury returns for Lamine Yamal. Yamal, that's in the deflection. Stabbed out of the air by Steven Moreira of the Columbus Crew. Headed right back into the mixer. Pico Lopez rising up. Got some help from Sean Paul on the outside. 2 minutes plus stoppage time. Marpello trying to hook it forward. Can't get it far enough. Urgency now in the final minutes of what is at stake. That's last off of the Cape Verde defender is Camarero. That was absolutely off of Duarte. But the referee, Kelly, has his vision strained. And so it's a Cape Verde throw.
What a ball from Lamine Yamal. His vision there to see the run from Daniel. He gets him the line. Outside of the boot.
What happened here?
What a tackle. Just commitment to defending. So good.
Entry carries it forward. Lamine Yamal into control. Into the 90th minute in Atlanta. Misplay pass to Costa. There's no way Cape Verde can actually score a goal, right? There's no way Cape Verde can actually win this game, right? Duarte with a few attacks they've had all day. Duarte, what's he going to do with it? We're back inside. Shot from inside, deflected. And that's going to be Cape Verde's first corner kick of the game in the 90th minute.
And their first shot in the second half. First time in the attacking part of the field. And it's just a long way out, and that's going well over. So fortuitously, he ends up taking the deflection, goes by for a corner. You think they're going to keep people back? Spoiler, they're not. They're bringing everybody up here. They're going to go try and go for the win. The last minute of the game in regular time.
Navarro Poncho to the back post. Had it right over the single ball.
Oh, it's a wide open header, but here comes Nico Williams.
Nico Williams, first touch is coming on, and that's not going to be anything there. Morcini able to get it. He'll milk a few more seconds off the clock as well. 5 added minutes here in Atlanta.
He gets a good look, he just over-jumps it and heads it down into the ground. This team, this bench, this stadium was ready to erupt if that ball went in. And they've still got defending to do.
A lazy giveaway there, a big spot. Nico Williams, Mark Cucurella, crossing in, stabbed in the line. Corner kick on the way. Number 10 of the game for Spain. Listen, does this change whether Spain wins the World Cup or not? Not necessarily. They lost their opening game in South Africa to win the whole thing. It's not about that as much as it is, can Cape Verde make real history? Can Spain show some fortitude here in the end and find a way through? As the corner is sent in, it's headed away by Pico Lopez. It's brought down by Cucurella. 1 minute gone on the 5. Renzi needs some help. All the way back to get it. Pedri back into the middle. Paco Garcia, center back. Lamine Yamal, the superstar. Lamine Yamal deflected, bounced off a teammate. Jimenez now. Nuno da Costa. It's 4v4 transition. It's right off of Cucurella's legs.
Misplayed ball. They had a chance first time. They really had a numbers advantage on the break, but now some of those guys are out of position.
Lamine Yamal again. Almost 70,000 fans here in Atlanta. They're all standing. Pedri lifts it along for Cucurella. Moreira comes to meet him. Cucurella, a little pump fake to create the space. More for Pedri to go forward. Pedri reset from the court. In for Garcia. Out for Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal cuts it back. Poked away. Didn't stop, but slowed down. Yamal. Pedri there, didn't hear the footsteps. That was a quick step in there by Willie Semedo. Now Nuno da Costa drives it back. That's as big as anything, honestly, in this moment. And Pedri will get the yellow card. Halfway through 5-minute stoppage time.
And it'll be interesting to see it. Pedri, it's a tactical fact, probably instinct as much as anything. But just not wanting to leave any doubt. But what's going to be interesting when they do the set piece, do they just push everybody up? Or maybe play this direct and try to create chaos, try to create havoc? Or do they just maybe play it wide and keep it a little bit more safe?
What do you think?
That's the smarter option.
The option they take, Jordan. Off balance, Lamine Yamal able to pick it up. Yamal for Deniolo. Lamine Yamal once again. He's already trying to scramble their numbers back, and that was an important block in there. Willie Semedo, Llorente. And they play the outlet. Moncho there, that was good strength. Gonna play the ball over the top, he's just gonna carry it into the middle now. Hernandez, all-time winning scorer for Cape Verde. This miss hit it. Goal kick. 90 seconds to go.
I don't think he really wanted to show, but the crowd was really well. Perhaps just a rush of adrenaline as he went to hit that. He sliced it off his boot. But they're going to get back.
Nico Williams. Cucurella for support. Williams crossing in. Pico Lopez controls and clears. 60 seconds to go. Who's got the legs? Who can make the plays? Into the middle for Daniolo. Out it goes for Lamine Yamal. Willie Semedo comes to meet him. Yamal wants to cross in. Headed away by Dino Marches. Down the chest. Yamal picks it back up. Yamal deflected. And Spain with a corner kick in the 95th minute of the game. Here we're at 11 with the night.
Shaping up to his favorite spot on the right wing. Comes out of the left foot, trying to pick up the far post. Just a little off balance as he goes to hit it.
Lamine Yamal to take. Everyone's back for Cape Verde. It's hooked into the near post. Oh, it's all the touch goal. It's all the way through. This is going to go in the books as a tie. This is a win. They're celebrating. It's over.
No, it's a draw.
It's an impossible way for Cape Verde in their first ever World Cup game. A 0